Your colour of country life is Flow FM. Jason Regan with you for the Sports Fix today. It's time for me now to get out of the way. Throw it over to Elias Gellius. He's got Eddie Dad's back. The weird world of sports today, looking at a very weird trend in southern Australia at least. Anyway, what's going on with the crowds in the AFL?
Thank you, Jason. It is the Sports Fix, and it's time to discuss something very weird as we delve into our Weird World of Sports segment with our regular correspondent from scplaybook.com.au, that being Eddie Dads. Eddie now joins me to discuss this growing trend of AFL crowds tapering off. Eddie, great to have you on the line. How are you?
Thanks, Ellis. It's been a good week. Yeah, it's good to be back on the show with you.
Great to have you. Now, we're talking about some comments made by Christian Petrarca. The Melbourne Demons star came out and basically said that fans are not turning up, and he thinks at least that, you know, the players need that energy from a full house at AFL grounds to really get up for games. But to the core of the issue here, Dadsy, is the focus of the AFL when it comes to the regions, because surely now is a better time than ever to address taking the game to the regions, but not just saying it for appeasing corporate PR spin, actually shifting the gears with a proper regional round spent in all the regions across one weekend, or maybe you do two throughout a season, and make Australia's game accessible to everyone in the country if the metro fan bases are staying at home. What do you think?
I mean, I could not agree more with your comments there overall. The AFL is in a really interesting spot at the moment. A lot of sort of theories being offered as to why crowds are down. I mean, the weather's been cold, particularly on the East Coast. I think people have gotten out of the habit of going to the footy over COVID, which is, I think, hitting a lot of local sports teams as well in terms of they're struggling to find numbers to actually play footy these days because people are just out of the habit. There's theories everywhere, but I think at the end of the day, you're right. The point is people aren't going to these games in the big cities. So it's a great opportunity to spread the game wide. I noticed this year the NRL, it's their largest regional slate of games ever. I think they've got 14 games in the regions. I mean, they're going to places like Mudgee, Albury, Coffs Harbour. But the NRL, for all its flaws, and I'm not pretending it's a perfect league by any means, but they do seem to understand the importance of hitting the regions, of getting out and actually showing people in these country towns what they can see with the NRL and giving kids, some inspiration to play the NRL. Whereas the AFL, I mean, they have the occasional game in Canberra and, they go to Darwin, but there's no real effort behind it. It seems to be more of, like you say, it's more of a tokenistic gesture than actually trying to spread the game in the regions. And I think they're missing a huge opportunity, and it's disappointing at this point that they haven't seen the opportunity to take the game regional. Even sort of, like you say, they could just do one round a year, like the NRL does Magic Round in Brisbane. The AFL could do a Magic Round across all regional venues. It would be fantastic.
Yeah, totally agree. Let's actually investigate how this could work. So looking at your VFL grounds and your SANFL grounds and your Waffle grounds, you're sort of comparing what these kinds of grounds are to the best case scenario in the countries. So do you think it actually could happen across a weekend? Is there enough stadia in the country to facilitate it?
I think the key issue, Ellis, is going to be the broadcasting of it. Now, AFL is not a simple sport to broadcast. I don't pretend to know much about broadcasting, but the NRL, it is quite, they don't have as many camera angles, right? It's up and down, it's up and back, whereas the AFL is this massive field you have to be able to cover with cameras. So I think if you ask the AFL, they'd say the main issue is that they can't really just, go out to, I don't know, some random country town and just set up one game there for the weekend, because the amount of cameras and staff it takes to actually film the games is too much. So I think the real feasible option, like you've touched on, is a Magic Round style round where every year they go out to, I don't know, let's say Port Lincoln in South Australia or Orange in New South Wales, and just have a ground perfectly set up with all the cameras they need. Maybe they play 4 or 5 games there so that the ground doesn't get too chopped up. But I think that's probably the method that I would see working ahead of sort of random games here or there in various towns. What do you think?
Look, I agree. I think you would know more about, the production style as it goes, and I agree with you. It's a big effort to actually produce sport on TV. People don't often realise that. They think it's a case of a broadcaster comes along, buys the rights for a season, and then it just kind of creates itself. You've got so much personnel sort of in the back room working on the day, and for sure with the AFL being being in a bit of a spot of bother with whatever its new broadcast deal is going to be, is also in a precarious position there too. But nevertheless, we should never stop talking about this. And I just want to play devil's advocate a little bit, because the AFL actually responded to questions about the drop-offs in attendances, saying that overall they are still by far and away the heavy hitters when it comes to live sport in Australia, and they're not phased. So do you sort of buy into that defence at all, or do you think there's legitimate concerns here that might actually have a bit of sort of longevity about it?
It's a great question. I think in terms of concern, I think the AFL wouldn't be too concerned about the on-day sort of ticket sales, etc., so long as they're still making money through the broadcast deal. So I don't have the numbers on hand, but I'm guessing their TV numbers are as good as they've ever been. They're going to sell a massive deal. So I'm not sure from a financial perspective it would be bothering them that much. I just think that's part of what makes AFL so special is the crowds. And you go on Wikipedia and you look up the top crowd drawing sports in the world, and the AFL is up there with the likes of the NFL and the Major League Baseball and these massive sports worldwide. For a country of 25 million like Australia, it's amazingly impressive that we have a sport that can draw that many people to it. So I just think they need to be really careful about focusing too much on TV, which I think other sports have gone down that path. Rugby union, for example, has kind of sold its soul a little bit by focusing too much on getting TV money and less on actually getting people involved with the game. So I think it's a really risky balance. And I think, if you were to ask the AFL, clearly they're in a good financial position. There's no reason for them to worry. But I think they need to be careful about sort of losing the soul of the game by neglecting the fans who go along and buy tickets and buy merchandise and love the game holistically more than just on the TV.
I'm super glad that you brought that up there, Dadsy, because I was about to segue into that. Is the competition pricing out its core fans with some of these ticket prices that we're seeing? It doesn't coincide very well at all with the rising cost of living concerns engulfing the country at the moment either, Dadsy.
That's correct, Ellis. And if they want people to go to games, they have to make games attractive to go to. And ticket sales is one thing, but I think another thing they also need to address is the match day experience. But I don't want to sound not too I don't know too much about it, but from what I can gather from people who are going to AFL games at the moment, it's actually not that enjoyable to be there. They're blasting music at you. There's all these stupid things showing up on the big screen. We've really sort of Americanized it, for lack of a better term, in terms of you got Kiss Cam and you pay $12 for a beer or a drink, and I think they really need to look into what exactly people want when they go to the footy. And I would suggest that a big portion of fans don't want these loud noises and things sort of constantly going on. They just want to sit and watch the footy and have a chat with a mate. Like, that's the beauty of going to footy. It's such a big ground. You can just sit there and talk to your best mate all day and watch the footy. It's fantastic. You don't need this sort of extra stimulation on top of it.
Absolutely love his insights and views. Eddie Dads from scplaybook.com.au. Take care of yourself. We'll speak to you next week.
Thanks, Ellis. Have a great weekend.
Well done, boys. Fascinating topic, that one. I might ask the Flow Man a couple of questions about that and why he thinks people are staying away from the AFL in droves. In fact, we've already talked about this in the past. We'll get Flow Man to reiterate some comments he's made earlier when he went to the footy with his two girls and how much it cost him. It's a really interesting point. That's coming up next. Also, we're going to talk about some other issues in the AFL, and we'll look beyond the AFL sphere. I want to talk about netball and what's going on with the traditional women's winter sport. That's coming up